This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, it's
Hello, good
fine.
morning to all of
It's
you.
audible.
So am I
Hello.
audible right now?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
You are.
sure, audible.
Okay, perfect. So my name is Mahesh Kumawat, and I have given the session yesterday as well for the AWS architecture kind of stuffs. And today we are going further for the architecture kind of stuff as well. Okay, and then we will discuss about the all sort of basic fundamentals of AWS, which you have, I think you have already done it, but I would like to ask you some questions regarding that, and if any confusion, any issues, then I will rectify it again. Okay, then we will go for the further advanced kind of stuffs in the next classes. Okay, so guys, are you able to see my screen at the same time? So this is the basically the roadmap.
We can't see the screen, Mahesh.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now it's visible.
Yeah,
is it
now it's
visible now?
visible. No problem. Yeah, yeah.
So,
It's fine.
okay, perfect. So this is the AWS certified. This is a basically roadmap. So whether you stand at this point of time, because AWS solution architect is an associate starting, and then once you have 2 years experience, then you have to move to the AWS solution architect as a professional, right? And if you are working as a developer, then this is the same path. Once associate, and then it is professional, and it's if you are a sys operations administrator, then you move to the further DevOps engineer. In the DevOps, there the automation tools is working like Ansible, Puppet, GitHub kind of stuff. So if you are working on this kind of environment, then it's the right certifications for you, right? And if you are a background of networking, system admin, or you can say different system level administrators kind of stuff, then you can just move to the AWS solution architect kind of stuff. The demand is in the future of all of above, and you can just choose the path as per your requirement. And some of the certificates also added right now as a big data is also added, and specialized in networking is also added into this particular AWS, right? Does it make sense?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it is only, yeah, it is
Yes.
only $150 at this point of time, and it is a if you're talking about the AWS professional certificate, it is $300. So you can register on the AWS website, and then you can appear for your certifications at the same point of time. And before 15th of December, you will get a discount coupon of 750 rupees from the Amazon. Okay, so we will move further. Mm. So this is AWS. Little bit of introductions we will starting, and then we will just move to the, some different kind of stuffs. So Amazon Web Services enables. Why do you choose the AWS? This is the questions, $1 million questions is all about. So the history of Amazon is basically is 2006 it was launched, and then the Amazon the relation database is coming into 2009, and to Amazon Virtual Private Cloud AWS launched in 2009, and the certification started in 2013, and AWS Internet of Things IoT was launched in 2015. So there are number of different features are coming into the AWS. If you check the console of the AWS, you will find out number of features is available on the AWS. So as per the requirement of the company, we will have to work on it. Okay. Then we move to the further AWS core infrastructure as a service. So there the core fundamental stuff is four. The security part. So the traditional infrastructures we are dealing in our IT environment is firewalls, access list, the router kind of stuff, and the administrator roles. The same thing is in the Amazon as well. The security groups. Security groups is basically allow the traffic from the outside, right? And the network access list is basically allow and deny of the traffic which we're going to have to send to the public end and private end. And AWS IAM is basically an identity access manager, right? So in this we have go for the security kind of stuff. And if you're talking about the networking part, this is the router coming to the picture, network pipeline, and also switch. The same thing is his here, elastic load balancer and the VPC. Both things we will cover in the next few classes, which we are studying next further. And VPC is basically is virtual private cloud, and we have to connecting our all the instances of virtual instances through the VPC, and we have to map the subnet subnet into this. And then we have to, if we the traffic is going to outside, we have to map the internet gateway, right? And if you're talking about the servers, so on premises servers is a hardware kind of stuff. So there are number of HP servers, Dell servers. um, it is very costly kind of servers. But in if we are talking about the AWS, we have the specific AMI, Amazon machine images are available, so we can just use into the EC2 instances, and we can run it at the same point of time. So it's a very flexible approach. We can just create a server in you know what, 2 to 3 seconds at the same point of time. So number of servers, and all servers are licensed. There is no problem with the licensing kind of issues, and there is no compliance kind of issues. Okay, we'll go to the further storage and databases. So we have different databases creating in the traditional infrastructure of the company, DAS, SAN, NAS, RD, BMS. If you're talking about the AWS infrastructures, we are just going to Amazon EBS creating, EFS creating, S3, and RDS. So I think you guys are aware about the S3 bucket, where we have just object based storage, and then the we have created policy kind of stuff, and it is all archiving to the Glacier. And we have also created the policy on the Glacier, and how to manage the data at the same point of time. So it is depend on the what kind of requirement of the client. As per the client requirement, as per your requirement, you just have to modify the policies and kind of stuffs in the database and storage, right? And if you're talking about the data storage part, it's very cheaper of Glacier. It is only I think providing 0.023 you know what pennies of the amount where we have to invest of the 1 terabyte of data. Okay, so these are the four things we have to just study further. Number of features is available on the AWS, and we will cover later on. So we have to understand that the basic idea about all sort of things. Okay, so these are the some AWS services is into the um, AWS. So how many do you have? Just go through the console at this time point of time.
Yes.
You
Yeah, I have checked.
okay? And what about Aparna and Saurabh? Are you guys
Yes,
aware
yes.
about
I
this?
have checked also. Yeah.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Because the features is, you know what, if you're talking about the features availability, they are the number of features available into the AWS, and it is increased day by day, just because of there are so many updations going on, seminars, webinars. If you are updated all the time, then you will find out the new things at the same point of time, and then you can modify, and then you can just say talk to the management that this is the new things, we can go for it, and it's a cost effective solutions we can provide to the company, right? So global infrastructure basically is the 44 availability zones and 16 geographic regions are in the around the world, and announced plans of 40 more availability zones in the 5 more regions. So I would like to know that, because once you're going for the availability zone or region specific kind of stuff, so go for online and just find out the what kind of regions are available at the same point of time, because the number of regions and availability zones are changed, increased day by day, because the Amazon is basically globalized partner of all of the company, and then they will, you know what, increase the number of availability zones. Okay, So these are the some of the countries that where we can just and North Virginia, US West, Asia Pacific, Canada, China, Europe, and South America, AWS, and these are the some regions. So I think you guys have little idea about the what is the difference between the region and availability zones. So anyone can explain me what is all about? This is some hint I will provide to you.
Basically, each region has there are multiple number of availability zone, so we can choose availability zone as per our requirement, and as well there is means default availability zone when we log into that AWS console.
Okay, okay, perfect, perfect. So what my idea is basically once you suppose you are working in a company, right, in MNC, and the requirement
Yes.
of you have to establish a geographical area or you want specific region base or you have to implement the availability zone you will have to check. So region is basically is you can say that a geographical area like country wise. Suppose how many number of data centers in India or in US location or in Europe Pacific location. So you can just say that the region is all about the specific country. Okay, and availability zone it means that number of data centers into the particular region. Suppose India is one region and India has have two or three data centers, right? So that we once we going for the disaster recovery kind of stuff and as also same time the business continuity so that we can create a plan of action that this is the we have two data centers and if this data center goes fail at the same point of time then we can move to the different uh, data center. So it is a three-tier approach of architecture. We will let you know and some of the slides later on, but you have basic fundamentals idea about what is region, what is availability zones, where we have to implement what is disaster recovery kind of stuff, so what is a business continuity plan we can create, go for it. Okay, wait a second. So suppose you are sitting in India, right? And your company will tell us that we have to you know what create a website and implement to, to the India, right? So how can you say that this is the right approach for you? Wait a second. Do you have an answer for this?
Can you please repeat again the question?
How many latencies you will check it out? If you implement a website to the globalized environment, how will you check the latency in the AWS environment? Suppose I'm a customer and I am just going to say that I have to just create a website, just launch a website to the market, right? And I have to just globalize my website. So how much latency you will find out in the entire AWS environment? Suppose your website is checked by the China or by the Paris or London, Europe. So how much latency of the user will get?
User will get same latency if I'm situated in Mumbai and I have choose the data center in Mumbai. So if I host my website in Mumbai server, it will replicate in Europe and other locations. So when customer will check my website, they will get the same latency in Mumbai where what latency I'm getting.
So are you able to see my screen at the same point of time?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So this is the cloudping.info. If you check on the any website, right, in the any browser, and then you just this is the AWS website, and it is says that if you are your instances are suppose I'm sitting in India, right, and how much latency I will get in the India, right? So this is a very less latency I will get. If you wait a second, I will show you out. Mumbai. Yeah, this is the latency I will get if my data center in Mumbai locations, right? If you're talking about if I create my data center in China, right? So this is the kind of latency I will get it out. 461 millisecond and 15.04 millisecond in China next year. So what I'm trying to achieve at the same point of time is basically the depend on how where you create your data center and how much latency will get of the user at the same time. So it will change time to time, and you can just bring it here again, and it will say saying the right latency of the cloud. Okay, so how the matter of fact that I will let you know that the nearest of your data center will reach the packet at the same point of time, and then you will less latency of milliseconds. Does it make sense to you? Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? We require a locations where the very less latency, and where we have to create a data center in the AWS environment. Suppose 101, suppose I have to create a data center, so I will create a data center in Singapore location. So it's because it is very less latencies there.
So the reference user is in India for that sense.
Yeah, the reference user in India, suppose I'm sitting in India, I'm going to pick to the cloud info, and there is a very less latency. So any user will reach to the Singapore first, and then then it is going to the Seoul, then it is going to the, you can create data center anywhere in this world as per these locations, but the matter of fact that how much time it will take to resolve your query.
Suppose I'm going to host a data center, a website in Singapore location. Now if a user will browse this website from Canada, so he will get the 340 millisecond latency from Canada when he try to browse that website.
Where you suppose I'm in sitting in India location, and then I'm going to ping it. HTTP ping is going on. So in this Canada locations, once you're going to ping it, HTTP ping is there, then there's different latency will be coming. So as the Canada location, there is a near location would be, I think, US location. So the you have to create your data center in the US location. It depends on how, where your client is sitting, your source is coming from. Because I'm in setting in India, that is why the Singapore is millisecond is very less. So as per me, I have to create a data center in Singapore locations. But you are sitting in Canada locations, then you have to just going the HTTP ping, and then your US based or this is California location is very quite near to me. Then you have to create.
That means we will create the data center in the nearest location.
Definitely, because very less latency, it will be very helpful to the user, and your website is accessible very soon. Okay, that we will move further. Wait a second. So here it is. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is all about, this is why we creating the different data center, why we create a two data center or three data center, three-tier approach in the architecture. This is another question is coming to the mind. Just because of disaster recovery, just because of business continuity. Because if you are working in the data center of any IT, you have to create the two terms is very important for you. As a disaster recovery plan, what's your disaster recovery plan? What is your business continuity plan? Or what is your incident response plan? If any incident has been comes up, and what's your plan for action, right? That is why we have to create a different data centers. One data center is single data center, right? And if we have the two data centers, we have cross-site replication, cross-site two-tier architecture. And if we have three data centers, then a three-tier architecture, we can say that, right? And this is region one, this is one country, and this is region second. Suppose you hosted your data center in India locations, right? And any flood is coming or any different conditions happen, and your region is specific issues happen, then this is the second region, like Singapore, or you can Japan, or you can China, your data center is available, and this the application is going off your databases same time. Okay, so you will never lose any kind of dollars, we can say that. That is why we have to create the regions specific data center in different locations, so that anything goes wrong, then you will just your business will be working smoothly, as a data center recovery has happened, and the business continuity plan is also working at the same point of time. That is the only reason that the AWS and Azure and different clouds sailors is providing the different region specific kind of stuff. Okay. So this is region availability. It is a logical grouping of data centers in a given regions for service high availability. A data center is a locations where actual physical data resides, and a single of couple of centers are coupled in one of the availability zones. Right? So very easy to understand, not a big challenge in this, because we have to create our data centers more than one location first of all, and different country, and we have to check the latency first of all, where we can say that nearest location is, we have to find out, right? And we have to take care of the disaster recovery. If anything goes disaster, then what is your action plan of action, and how can our business done smoothly, the business continuity plan, we have to check it out. And that incident response plan, if this incident has been comes up, then what's your plan of actions, how do you remove the incident at same point of time. So these are the some architectural kind of steps you have to keep in mind once you're creating the architecture. If you're working in the AWS environment, that is only if you how you are intelligently, working on the AWS, that is only cost effective solutions you can provide it same point of time. Okay, so these are the AWS has specific naming conventions for both regions and availability zones. Yes, this is a very important kind of stuff, because once you're creating the AWS, have you ever creating the documentation part of the AWS or not till now?
No.
Okay, so my dear friends, first of all, what you're going to do it, first of all, you have a specific IP address range you have to keep in mind. So this is the IP address range for the EC2 instances, the different IP address range for database, the different IP address range for your storage, different IP address range for networking kind of stuffs. So you can segregate your IP address ranges on different kind of issues. Suppose anything issues happen into the database, then you have to go for the changing of the changing the any networking things on the database side. So this is also keep in mind always. And the second thing is the naming conventions was also important, because if you have creating the number of instances or number of networking things into your AWS, right, then there is some problem has been come if your naming convention is not good, because if you're creating the 1500 600 number of instances, and your networking or subnet and gateways, and you just confuse same time. And if you are mapping some different kind of stuff same time, that is also creates a lot so many issues. So naming conventions is very important. IP address segregation is very important, right? Some of the this is fundamental concepts that if you're clear at the same point of time, then there is no issues in the AWS. This is a basic kind of stuff once we creating the documentation part. So availability zones are always referred by the code names, the EU West A, 1B, 1C. So in US specific, you will find out number of availability zones. Yes. This Virginia, US East 1, number of AGs, this is kind of things there, edge locations. So this is China, Mumbai, 2, and Delhi regional edge caches, Mumbai. We will talk later on the edge locations. Okay, edge locations are basically once you know what, accessing your website and where is the nearest you know what locations to access the kind of stuff. And these are the edge locations. Suppose you are sitting in, you know what, Canada, right? And you have to access the website which is hosted in India. Okay, so first of all, your website going to the India and edge locations. First of all, the edge locations, then it is going for your data center same time. Just like that, your router, if you're working on the, if you have little idea about the you know what, BGP of the networking, there is a exterior gateway protocol is basically. So the edge routers is sending the packet and receiving the packet same time instead of your EGP, integrated routing protocol. So CDN is basically, it is used for high delivery of, you know what, providing the high you know what mm, traffic is more smoothly works on the website, and global content delivery network is also working same time. Regional edge locations, a type of edge locations called regional edge cache. These between your CloudFront original and servers and edge locations. So these are the some locations, edge locations, and this is the edge location. Then you user able to access. So we can say that the edge locations are where that the users are able to access the website more frequently, accessible, very easy to access, and very no latency at the same point of time. So signing up for AWS. So I think you all are, you know what, created the AWS console free tier, I think. Am I right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, perfect, perfect. So suppose you, I think you have to create some of instances. Some of you have created some S3 bucket, and some of you create some storage or whatever. So the billing is coming. Then how do you deal with the billing?
Mukesh, is it free for 12 months?
Yes, you're right.
But I have checked my account and it's showing that something has been charged. I have
Yes,
only means hello.
yes. So how do you deal with this particular, if anything? Thing. Suppose you have created some of the instances or some of the elastic elastic IP address or whatever, then the billing is coming. Then how do you deal with this?
I have terminated this. Means yes, I have terminated that instance
Okay,
right
and
now because it is not required right now. So I have terminated that
okay,
EC2
okay,
instance. But there are
okay.
options like shutdown and all.
Yes, yes, definitely. So what happened actually? Suppose you have terminated at the same point of time, there is no issues happen, right? Suppose you have created and you forgot to delete, and then the billing is coming in the end of the month. Then what you need to do it, because you are you know, working on the free tier, right? Then you have to call
Yeah.
to the support team, and then you can simply say that I'm working for the testing purpose, and I have just set down all those stuffs and point of time, and then please waive off my charges. So they will just waive off your charges until unless this is the condition, right? 750 hours of your Amazon EC2. Suppose you have created an instance on the T2 tier, right? And these are the 750 hours. One instance 750 hours. If you're creating the two instances, three instances, then it is you know what, in divide the hours, and total hours is 750 hours. Okay. And if you suppose you created the Amazon S3 bucket and the 5 GB of your data and 20 get request and 2000 put request. So until you are in the same condition, right? These are the conditions, right? There is no charges. But after you cross the limit, right? Then you have to go to charges, and they will not waive off the same point of time. So if you are working on the 750 hours, suppose you used 740 hours, then they will waive off your charges, because you are working on the free tier and also waive off the charges same. But you have to request, you have to open a ticket for them. right?
So once I create this instance, then that should not be charged.
Instance is what instance? Different. If you created a T2 micro instances, there is no charge.
No, EC2. I created EC2.
If you created
EC2
a EC,
Microsoft, I guess, Microsoft Windows.
is it a T2 server or not? This is depend on this. If your EC2 instance is T2 micro, right? Then there is no charges, my dear. And if it is a different one, because in we study furthermore, there are different type of servers there, right? So if a T2 server, then it is no charges. If it's different server, then definitely there will be some charges. So you have to shut down the server, or you can just call to the support team and they will waive off your charges if anything
Okay.
comes. Okay. And these are the EFS elastic file systems, 5 GB per month, and this is the Amazon listening database, RDS 750 hours. So no problem. I will just send to you all sort of information so that you can easily find out and how much you can use it. You have to create increase the limit. There's also options available on the AWS console. I will let you know once we are going for the practical kind of stuff later on. Easy?
Yeah.
Okay, wait a second here. So I will share you another slide for you. Wait a second. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, this is very important slide as I concern basically. So the pillars of AWS Well Architect Framework. So suppose you're working in any company, and also if you are talking to the an AWS guy, right? Suppose AWS guy is coming to your company and they will ask you, this is the service we can provide, this is service we can provide, and this much amount we will charge, and this is pay as you go features, and this is all sort of stuff they will talk to you in a single instance. But as a cloud architect, you are working on your company, right? So what's your keep in mind once you are implement any new cloud into the client or your site or your company? Okay. So what is the best architect cloud framework you keep in mind once you are implement a new cloud? So operational excellence also important. The first factor we are talking about operational excellence. Whatever the cloud architecture you have implement, should be operational excellence. What does it mean? The ability to run the mentor systems to deliver business value and to continuously improve supporting process and procedures. So whatever the things you have created, it is operational, very easy, right? Easy to operate. You will get a a report same time. And how can you improve your services? How can you if any disaster has been comes up, then how do you uh, take the challenge same times? Because AWS and Azure or any cloud, the always any person is says of the management of the AWS says that any cloud will be down at any point of time. So how you operational excellence depend on that. How do you deal with this kind of stuffs? But as a cloud architect, you are working as a cloud architect in your company. Your operational excellence is suggest that how cost effective things you have done it in your company, and how operational things you have created in your in your resources same time. So I can say that you have to create some scripting kind of stuff, scripting of your resources that will be good for you. So this is operational kind of stuffs. And I can say also that the alarm you can create, you can create a SNS service, okay? So that you once an instance is going to the more than 70%, you will get a response email to your email ID, and you will get a message at the same point of time. Okay. And is there any instance has been any issues happen, then you can configure a cloud trail so that you can just find out what is going actually into the system, and you can enable the cloud watch same point of time so that you can easily get the logs at the same point of time. So this is operational excellence, we can say that, right? So this is also requirement. The second point is security part. The ability to protect information systems and assets while delivering business value through risk and assessment and mitigation strategies. So suppose I'm your client, you are cloud architect of your company, and I'm coming to your company, and then I will suggest that if your company is ISO certified 27000, if you're, how do you, secure my informations? Because we are providing you um, the agreement on the basis of the agreement. So AWS is also certified of a ISO 27000, ITAR, and HIPAA compliance. HIPAA compliance is basically the healthcare information is not going to outside kind of stuff. Okay, so AWS is very secure, we can say that, and we can create a number of policies, number of things, inspector features. We can use it. We can also use it. IAM, multi-factor authentications, LDAP, Kerberos, SSO. This kind of things is available on the um, AWS. So how do you configure it? How do you, implement in your company? This is also very important prospects. We can say that reliability. The reliability, the ability to a system to recover from infrastructure of a service disruption, dynamically acquire computing resources to meet demand and mitigate disruptions such as misconfigurations of transit network issues, right? Suppose you have created number of instances in the AWS cloud and your company is working absolutely fine, no problem whatsoever. But suppose sometime happen that your instance is out of memory, right? Or your hard disk space is C drive space is full, right? So how do you deal with this kind of issues? Because these issues happen, memory dump issues happen, hard disk is full kind of issues happen, and this is how do you deal with this kind of things? So this is in the AWS environment, we can create alarm kind of stuff. So we can, we can say cloud trail kind of stuff. So we can just check it out regularly. We will get a report at the same point of time, and it's very reliable. Okay, just like that. If you're working on the applications, right, your code, how do you deal with your code? This is the same kind of infrastructure we can create in the AWS. So infrastructure as a code, you how what type of how effective your code is, your how effective your infrastructure in the AWS. So you have to be a good coder. I can say that if you are a good coder, then you are a good coder on infrastructure part as well. The performance efficiency, the ability to use computing resources efficiently to meet system requirement and the maintain that efficiency as demand changes and technology evolve. Yes, this is also very important. So suppose you have created number of instances, number of RDS, number of data storage part, we can say that. So how effective and what type of performance you will get, right? So suppose you created the S3 bucket and you have you provided some object-based storage and you have stored so many things, and then the charges are coming at the same time. Okay, and it is going to the you create a policy and then it is moved to the glacier. But once you retrieve your data from the glacier, it will take lots of time and it will take money as well at the same time. So what kind of performance you are going to provide? Okay, the second thing is, I can say example is VPN. Suppose you created the VPN from your side to your client side, or you can say that cloud the AWS side. So what kind of performance over the VPN? You will have to just check it out. Cost optimizations, the ability to run systems to deliver business value at the lowest point. The cost optimization is very important, because how do you, if you have created scripting, right, on your resources, and they will suggest you that this is issues has been happened, this is issues not happened, and what kind of things happen. So you can make changes at the same point of time. Okay, and you can just use the load balancer, availability set. This is number of things you can go for the cost optimizations. Okay, so are you able to understand all sort of pillars of well architecture of AWS?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so please remember all sort of 5 points, which is very important once you talk to any interviews. You can say that, or if you're talking to any AWS guy, or if you are working on the environment of AWS, so that these are the 5 points. It is very important once you are working on the AWS, because all sort of features, all sort of AWS is depend on all the 5 points. Okay, I have something for you, some different. Wait a second. I will show you some more things. Yes, so this is the slide we are just covering at the same point of time, right? Yes. Yes, so feature of AWS, Amazon Web Services as a secure code services. And it's a if somebody asks you that what is AWS, so you can say that pay as you go kind of stuff, so cloud-based infrastructures, greater security provided, build sophisticated global presence in 190 countries. This is very simple kind of stuff. And you just also remember some of the history when it was launched, what happened at what prototypes. Certifications are launched in 2013. AWS declared profitable in 2015, and this is AWS had first invent conference in 2012. So this is the basic things you have to remember. So these are somebody ask you in any interview questions, or you can just check once you're going to implement the AWS infrastructure in your company, that how many number of countries it is implemented, what are geographical locations, what is availability zones are available, right? And the regions and availability zones I will already discuss the same point, same time, right? That's location. Suppose you're hosting your application into the Europe, and you have to the user are accessing from the uh, Australia, right? So the same time it is not going to the different locations, it is going to the same time at the Europe locations. So it is a very fast connectivity, and the CDN, content delivery manager, is comes to the pictures. We will talk later on, no problem. AWS products, I know that you have well aware of it. So market leader is basically AWS is number one, just because of, as per the Gartner is suggested. Then the second number is Microsoft. The leaders are, and then the different cloud in the market is Google, CountryLock, VMware, IBM Software. Okay, so I think you are on the right path to doing the Amazon at the same, it's a number one kind of stuff, and this will, jump your career as well in the future. So these are some management consoles available, compute instances, right? So Amazon EC2, ECS, Elastic Beanstalk, Lambda. So this compute part, EC2 instances, Docker. This is also a elastic band stick. So, do you guys know that elastic band stick is all about? Do you know that what is use of
No.
AWS elastic band stick, and what is
Oh,
advantage of this? You done it or not done it now?
No. Elastic Bench State, we don't know.
Hmm? Guys, you are aware of this elastic band stick or not? Have you done it or
No,
not?
Mahesh. No. No, Mahesh. We don't
Okay,
do
okay,
this.
no problem. Because we will do it. Okay, on the practical, it just takes only 2 minutes. But what I feel, because the fundamentals of every feature is most important. If you understand the logic behind it of the feature, this will really help you to implement the AWS more efficiently in your environment. Because in the practical it will take around only 1 to 2 minutes to creating any kind of any instances, any elastic beanstalk, lambda, whatever. But if you understand the logic behind it, why we going to create it, what is the advantage, how effectively we can create this kind of sort of things, it's really important for you to understand. So Elastic Beanstalk is nothing like kind of easy to use service for deploying and scaling web applications and services deployed with Java, .NET, PHP, Python, Go, Docker, and familiar servers such as Apache, Nginx, and Passenger IaaS. What happened? Why it is creating the Amazon Elastic Beanstalk? So I will let you know the thing that suppose in the previous time what happened if any coder is create a code of Java or .NET or PHP or different kind of code. Okay, so we have required a specific infrastructure availability to test the code same time, and then we have to go to the production, right? So AWS Beanstalk is very important here because we can create, the coders will create a code, and then we can specifically test our code in the environment where we already set up the environment by the AWS. Okay, so it will take you only 1 to 2 minutes to create test your applications and send to the production. But in the previous times we have to create infrastructure for the same time, it would take lots of time. There is no flexibility on the time, and we can say no reliability on the resources, and it was time taking kind of stuff. But Elastic Basics, you can push your code same time, and then you can create a website, you can launch your website in the production in a fraction of time, we can say that, right? So that is the only use of the particular Elastic Basics. We will cover all sort of things once we are going to the console, but yeah, basic fundamentals, basic ideas more important, why we going to use it. Okay, the Lambda is also important. AWS Lambda lets you run a code without provisioning or managing servers. Pay compute for that time. You can only pay for the execution. So suppose any coder is create a code, and then you can execute this particular code in a different you know what like Java or .NET or whatever, then it will be working for you. Then it's elastic load balancing. Elastic load balancing is also important. Elastic load balancing is a networking service that automatically spreads out incoming application traffic across several available EC2 instances. So have you ever worked on any kind of load balancer before, or hardware or software or any other? Do you know the basic
No,
fundamentals of load balancing is all about?
We didn't work in load balancer for myself.
Okay.
yeah, same
But
here.
The same here.
But know the means we means basic things we know for load balancer.
Okay.
When there are multiple hits to that to any kind of server or any kind of application, then the load balancer distributes the means distributes the user to among different pools, so that users cannot get affected, and they can use the applications properly.
Yes, my dear friend, because that we will, working on the AWS as a load balancer, because it is balancing the load of your website. I will give some example, like some time ago there was an incident happened in Flipkart, right? What happened? Their server code crashed when the big billion days coming, right? Because the servers are not able to execute, they were not able to providing the API's query same time, because there is a huge load coming into the servers, and they will not providing the informations to the API. That is why your servers are crashed. So what happened in the environment, because Netflix is a company where you have seen the online movies, and if it is load is very high, then it is automatically done slowly. So the elastic load balancer we can create there, we can just implement this kind of stuff where we have the number of instances, and the load is coming to the one instance, it is automatically going to the second instances as per the different policies we can create. the ratio based and different kind of policies we can create. We will talk later on once we going for the practical, but this is scenario is basically once a load is very high from the public end, and then we have to move to the different servers at the same time, so that your servers will work smoothly. Or we can share as 30 40 or 50 what kind of this is all about, and different policies we can implement. AWS Management Console, so I think you are aware of it. No problem whatsoever. Storage gateway, S3 is basically your, object-based storage online. So you can just like your file server, you can just upload your any document from here in S3 up to 5 GB, and then you can create a policies to move to the particular all sort of things into the archiving folder like Glacier. Okay, and then the Glacier has a very small panels. Okay, this is storage and content delivery. We will speak later on about the particular CDN. CloudFront is a content delivery service CDN that integrates with the Amazon Cloud Services. Okay, the storage delivery content we will study when we can say that once we are going for the practicals, this is very easy to understand. Elastic File Systems, EFS, is a storage that you can attach to the multiple EC2 instances, right? Suppose you have to create your snapshot of your particular instance, so it is moved to your EFS, then the same image you can use for anywhere. Storage content delivery managers, import, export, Snowball. We will later on we will discuss. Databases, there are different databases we will study in this AWS. Okay, RDS, anything, databases. Okay, networking is also important part of this particular network in the AWS. We will be going for each and every point of in the VPC once we are studying. Direct connect is basically is for your direct connect is way of connecting into the AWS environment without using the internet connections. So AWS Direct Connect is your very high speed internet like ISP, right? So you can just map to your Amazon connection, then it is very high speed connectivity will be coming. There is no latency will be happen. So guys, today we are wrap up this particular session till the time, and then tomorrow we will do some some practical stuffs, I think on the EC2, I think, and then we will go to VPC, storage, networking, and different kind of stuff. So you have good idea about what is all about and how do we create, how do we implement, how do we cost effective solutions we can provide. And once we're going tomorrow, then I will let you know the billing, how do you work on the billing kind of stuff, right? So this is all a very important concept we were just talking tomorrow, some practical stuff. So this is the theoretical concept about the architecture part, about all sort of which we're talking about why we're going to implement cloud AWS number one, and differentiate between the Azure and AWS. We have talked yesterday as well. So this is we can say that although the AWS is number one just because of the number of features available, and we can it's very easy to implement any cloud person if you have well aware, because if you have worked on 2-3 times on the AWS or single instances, or you can say VPC kind of stuff, so very easy to understand and very reliable. So the naming conventions is important. The IP address segregation is also important. The 3-tier architecture is also important. Prospects and the 5 things I will share you about the architecture pillars. We will talk in this session is also important. Okay, so these are the some things we have studied today, and yesterday we have discussed about some Azure and AWS kind of stuffs, and billing concept kind of stuffs, and how can you pricing, how can you negotiate pricing kind of stuffs. So this is the 2 classes about theoretical concepts we will study. Best to best, how can you provide cost effective solutions to the client. That's all about. And tomorrow we will just doing some practical stuff, so very easy to understand and very what cost effective, how can we create a cost effective solutions for the premises. Okay, and then I will let you know that what is the correct steps to implement a cloud. Okay, where we have to start, because you will find out 67,000 of features available into the AWS. So you are very new to the cloud, and how can you start your cloud? What is the right step we will going to do it? So this is the things we will have to cover in the tomorrow classes. And any questions for you?
No, it's
No,
fine.
it's okay from my side.
Okay, so my request is don't don't go anywhere and it's 7 o'clock in the morning, because if you miss any one classes, then your future classes, I think there may be some problems, because you have to not understand, because you will get a recording sessions as well, no problem, but what the interaction at the same time is also very, very important for you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Take care, enjoy.